Project 1065, Chapter 42, The Wrong Thing. I sat gingerly in a chair in my Dawes study. I was sore and bruised from the fight, my right eye swollen and black, but it was nothing compared to how I'd left Fritz. They'd had to pick him up and carry him to the nurse's tent. He couldn't even stand up on his own. Simon walked circles around Dawes' desk, stretching his legs and testing his ankle. I checked and double-checked the door this time to make sure it was locked, but I was still nervous every time Simon was out of his hiding place. He was more and more restless from being cooped up in there all day. "Did you take the test where you have to jump into the pool?" Simon asked. "No, not today. It's tomorrow." Simon nodded. "Just remember what you've been working on. Distract yourself. Remember that you've been that high before, up on the roof, and survived. And remember why you're doing it, to get close to Fritz and get those plans." I nodded lamely. Fritz, the boy I'd pummeled within an inch of his life, the boy who hadn't said a word to me the rest of the day because he couldn't. He'd spent the rest of the afternoon in the nurse's tent. "How did you like the Maltese Falcon?" Simon asked. I shrugged. "It was okay, I guess." Simon raised his eyebrows. "Okay, you guess? It's one of the best books ever written. What about that part where Spade pops Joel Cairo in the nose and takes his gun away from him? I love that bit." I stared at the floor. "Michael, what's wrong?" I sighed. There was no use hiding from him. He had to know sooner or later. "It's over," I told Simon. "What's over?" "Me and Fritz, the SRD, the jet fighter plans, everything." I told him what happened at the Hitler Youth trials, about me beating Fritz down, again and again and again. "It doesn't matter if we both pass the rest of the test now, and both of us ends up in the SRD. I put him in the hospital, Simon. He's never going to speak to me again. Not even if we were the last two boys in all of Germany. I wouldn't if I was him. If my mission was to buddy up to Fritz so I could steal the plans for Project 1065, I messed it up royally." Simon sat on the edge of Dawes' desk looking glum. "It does sound bad, but don't be down on yourself, Michael. You did what you had to do, even if doing it meant doing something wrong." I flipped the edge of the Oriental rug up and down with my foot. Doing what you had to do, even though it meant doing something wrong, seems like what this war was all about. "There's always a chance you can make it up to him somehow," Simon said. I looked at him doubtfully. Simon got back up and paced again. "Before the war, I was stepping out with a beautiful young woman named Mary. We had a wonderful time, Mary and me, going to the cinema, lingering about in cafes, taking moonlit walks along the Thames. But when her parents caught wind of it, they didn't approve. They told her to stop seeing me." "Because you're English?" Simon smiled at the latest salvo in our long-running insult contest, but his smile disappeared quickly. Whatever the reason was, it was nothing to laugh about. "No," he said, "because I'm Jewish. They may not be carting Jews off to concentration camps in England the way they are in Eastern Europe, but it doesn't mean there still isn't a great deal of anti-Semitism there. Someone won't let you stay in their hotel or eat in their restaurant or marry their daughter." Simon's face tightened. "Mary's parents forbade her from marrying me. Said they would never speak to her again if she did. Mary said she didn't care, said she'd run off with me and get married over the anvil at the Gretna Green if I liked. But her friends and family shunned her, and it was so hard on her. I could see that. It was killing her inside." "What did you do?" "What I had to do, and the wrong thing," Simon said quietly. "I broke things off with Mary, told her we were finished. I admit it's not like beating another person senseless, but in some ways it was worse. A broken heart is harder to mend than a broken nose. And I ended up breaking 2 hearts in the bargain. Then the war began, and I was whisked away by the RAF. I haven't seen her since." Simon looked off into the distance as if he could see all the way across Europe and the North Sea to England. "Perhaps I should have fought for Mary. Perhaps I should have let her give up everything for me. But I wasn't out to change the world, and neither was she. We were just 2 kids in love," he sighed. "Who knows? Perhaps after this war we'll get a second chance. And perhaps you will too, with Fritz." I hoped he was right, for both of us, but I'm not sure either of us really believed it. Simon went to his little hideaway and brought back a book. "Here's your next one, perhaps the greatest English novel of all time." "Well, that's not saying a lot," I said, trying to lighten things up again with another dig. It was a book called Kim by Rudyard Kipling. "Is it another detective novel?" "No," Simon said, and I groaned. Now that he got me hooked, I didn't want to read anything else. "Don't worry, you'll like it. It's all about an Irish boy who becomes a spy."